Hey guys, it's Melanie, and today I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into my series and connect the last episode of Are Your Adrenals on Overdrive to the thyroid-adrenal connection. If you have thyroid issues, and maybe you watched my video from before, you notice that a lot of the signs and symptoms mimic each other, right? So you may have been diagnosed with a thyroid issue and an adrenal gland issue, something like adrenal gland fatigue, and, like you've got adrenal fatigue, hypothyroidism, or adrenal fatigue and Hashimoto's, or adrenal fatigue and Graves'. Like sometimes those diagnoses go hand in hand. But let's kind of go into what the thyroid is supposed to do first, and then I will talk about how they're interconnected and what you need to know about them if you have one or the other issue or some of these signs and symptoms. So your thyroid kind of is located right here, if you're not sure. And it's responsible for releasing hormones that control your metabolism. It's like the epicenter of how your metabolism works. And the hormones that it releases kind of regulate your breathing, your heart rate, your muscle strength, your body temperature, your cholesterol levels, and so much more. So you may have some of these things that you notice are kind of off, but you don't really know why they're off. And I'll go a little bit more into my story when I kind of explain to you the difference between hypo and hyperthyroidism. So, your thyroid is part of your endocrine system, and it uses iodine from the foods that you eat to make the two main hormones that come from your thyroid, T3 and T4. I'm going to keep it real simple and real easy. Just remember those two letters and numbers, T3, T4. So if your T3 and T4 levels are too high in your body, you may be diagnosed with hyperthyroidism, which means it's overactive. It's doing too much. It's kind of getting a little crazy in there. So your symptoms may be like you're anxious. You are just completely wired. You have your hands trembling. Your heart rate is fast. When I had hyperthyroidism, I had a resting heart rate of 140 plus. Tell me if you even get that high when you exercise. 140 plus while sitting still. I was sweating, and they would always do this test with me where they'd put my hands out and they'd put this piece of paper on it, and it was literally like this. So imagine at that time I was in phlebotomy, drawing blood. Imagine me coming at you with a needle shaking like that. So it was very detrimental not only to my health but to my job. So those signs and symptoms are things that maybe you have a goiter, which is an enlarged thyroid, and your eyes kind of bug out of your head. That's where I was at. And if those things aren't taken care of or controlled, they can lead to a lot of other health issues. So another spectrum, I guess is what you want to say, or another way with the T3 and T4 happening is maybe they're too low in your body and things are underactive. So you are maybe diagnosed with hypothyroidism, which is where I'm at right now. Yeah, it's great. The thyroid is just such a wonderful little gland that really, yes, I want to punch in the throat sometimes, literally. So if your T3 and T4 are too low, you'll have symptoms or be diagnosed with hypothyroidism. Like you're tired. I was talking to someone, and it's like you feel like a sloth trudging through mud. Like everything is slow motion. You don't have enough energy. You're maybe depressed. Your joints might ache. You may be really constipated. And with both hypo and hyper, sorry guys, your cycle, women, could be totally off. Crazy, not coming when it's not supposed to, strange and unusual things happening during that time. This is huge as far as how hormones work in your body. So now that I've kind of laid all that out and said, hey, these are the signs and symptoms, how is that connected to your function of your adrenaline or your adrenal glands? How is that connected? So they work together, believe it or not. Our body sometimes works together. It's supposed to. There's lots of functions in our body that are supposed to work together. They don't always work together. Okay, so we're going to talk about how they work together. When they work together, right, they supply essential hormones throughout your body. They deliver them where they need to be delivered. They push them out. They bring them in. However you want to do, this little highway of like the right hormonal highway, when things are moving smoothly. If your adrenal glands do not produce enough cortisol, which remember we talked about that in my other episode, you may have a thyroid issue. Like they are connected as to if one is producing more of something or less of something. I mean, I can go into like the whole endocrine system, pituitary gland, thyroid, cortisol, adrenaline, T3, like how all that's connected, but sometimes it gets a little overwhelming. I know myself, it can be very overwhelming. And I'm like, look, I just want to know what's going on in my body, how I can fix it, and how it's supposed to function. So can you keep it simple, right? Because there were doctors along the way, over 20-something years for me, that didn't tell me any of this stuff. Most of it I have experienced on my own, have researched on my own, and then went to my doctor with it. So it's really, really important to know these things so you know what to ask your doctor. You know if they're saying, hey, you have a thyroid condition, let's put you on this, but your labs come back fine all the time, but you have all these symptoms. So this is me telling you like, hey, be your own advocate, right? So back to the whole connection, like poor adrenal function leads to reduced thyroid function. And what happens is most times there's a misdiagnosis and it leads right to a thyroid issue, right? Because some doctors out there kind of don't believe this whole, oh, you have adrenal fatigue. Like some of them will say yes, some of them will be like, no, it's your thyroid. Let's start there. And if it should happen to be your cortisol and adrenaline issues that need to be addressed, and they're giving you thyroid hormones to help your thyroid, it's going to possibly cause worse issues. And again, your labs may come back normal. So huge, yes, Kristen, huge to be your own, you're your own best advocate, and you know your body best, right? And I knew that I shouldn't feel this tired, and you tell me that my levels are fine. I shouldn't feel depressed, lack of energy, crazy menstrual cycles, just like things that I'm like, this isn't me. This is not how I'm supposed to feel. Like, I'm just supposed to accept that I have hypothyroidism for life and deal with the symptoms. I was not having it, There are over 150 hormones that your adrenaline glands are supposed to produce, like estrogen, adrenaline and cortisol, don't forget that, progesterone, testosterone, just like all these crazy hormones that could really put a whirlwind of craziness on your body, right? So if they're addressing your thyroid and your adrenal glands, because the signs and symptoms are the same, and they haven't really checked, like, do you have adrenal fatigue? Like, what's going on? Is that an overdrive? Oh, wait, you have all these hormones out of balance, but we're treating you for thyroid issues. You're going to be spinning your circle. You are going to be spinning like just treading water and still feeling like crap. So, no, I've never been diagnosed with adrenal fatigue, but like that's my next step to ask my doctor. Not that I want that diagnosis, but like, why is it that I've had these symptoms? Why is it that my levels have been normal? Now I'm going to tell you what, I'll go into like, hey, how do you fix this? And how do you know if you would have these issues? That would be my next thing, because I went from a point of symptoms are still here, blood levels are still normal, medication stays the same, is what it's warranted at the doctor's office. Made some changes, right? Symptoms gone. I don't need a nap in the afternoon. I don't feel so lethargic or like a sloth running through mud, trying to run slowly through mud. And they have been able to reduce my dosage of medication by what I've done, not what they've done. So it's always good to know these things, because a lot of times we are misdiagnosed with things and we just go with it. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if there's an adrenal issue with me. I don't know. We run a slew of tests and we find out what they come back as. But to know how these things are all connected, how your thyroid, what the thyroid and adrenal connection are, and what hormonal things can happen when they're not working right, huge. It's huge. When you know, like, hey, they're telling me it's this, but I still feel this way. We have to be the ones that are like, look, we're not crazy. This is how we feel. We want to feel better. Like, I walked out of a doctor's office literally crying because I was told that all your signs and symptoms, they have nothing to do with your thyroid. Your test levels are normal. Go see another doctor. That was the last time I went in that office. You want to have a doctor that actually cares about you being better. Not let's put something on top of it, slap a Band-Aid, and hope that it gets better. Because it didn't for me. So this is why I put this out here. This is why I want you guys to be your own advocate. So, with all of that being said, I hope that that didn't confuse you more. You know, I tried to keep it very simple. I can go like crazy with it. But I'm hoping that it opens your eyes a little bit more to maybe I have these issues, or maybe I'm being misdiagnosed with something else. Because when here's another one. Because remember, signs and symptoms are the same, but I didn't really give the huge list that I gave the other day about if your adrenaline is like just crazy tapped out and on overdrive and all this stuff. But when I don't know where I was going with that. So when you have, I do now, a thyroid issue and your cortisol and your adrenaline is like bouncing all crazy, and you may have not had any kind of diagnosis with your adrenaline glands, that's going to produce, like, your body's like, what in the is going on? It's going to protect itself, so it's going to puff like that puffer fish. You may have some inflammation. This is kind of where the joint pain comes from. You may have some inflammation. Your immune system may be shot from that. So this is all interconnected, and it's absolutely insane, the things that we don't know about it. And when you know more about it and you know better, you do better. So that is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to just get it out there so you guys will be like, hey, I need to do more further research on what's actually going on in my body, and then bring it to my doctor. Because sometimes they're a little shocked that when you walk in there and you know some things, right? They're really shocked, and some of them won't like it. Some of them will actually sit and talk with you for a longer time about it and explain more. That's the doctor you want, right? So next time, stay tuned for my next little episode where I'm going to go into like how you could maybe end up with a thyroid adrenal issue, what could cause that, and how you can help and fix that, right? Because when you know better, you do better. That's it, right? That's all I have for you guys today. And again, if you know someone who knows someone who knows someone that could benefit from this, or if you found some value in it, please share it or tag someone. I saw people were kind of tagged last time. So please tag them, share it, whatever it is, to get the word out there. Because the more you know, what was it, Channel 5 when they used it? The more you know, and like ding, ding, ding. The more you know, the better you're going to be at things. And this, seriously, for your overall health, the more you know, yeah, the way better off you're going to be, and way better off you're going to feel. So that's all I have for you guys today. Have a great day, and we'll chat next time.